Hi friends, this is your pal Scott Garibay, and today I want to talk about Knigobi's spectacular Knigobi's spectacular video about talking about player character death in Dungeons and Dragons and what that means and why it's important. All right, so let's get into this. All right, so uh, I think Knigobi just presented evidence that you can experience spiritual growth through Dungeons and Dragons. Let's walk there together. Okay. So Naigobi did this fantastic video where she talked about player character death. And man, I ate this up like catnip because I'm here and I'm saying, hey, player character deaths are extremely important, right? And you should not have a backup character because you need to give people time to board their characters, and that a backup character is a sign of very bad Dungeons and Dragons playing and dungeon mastering, right? So Naigobi came in and she didn't say don't use backup characters. She said death should matter, right? Now I think yeah. So she said, and honestly, I think this is extremely rare. You are all over. People are talking about the rules and the mechanics of Dungeons and Dragons. It's extremely rare to hear people talking about narratives that matter and that really like impact people emotionally, right? So I have this incredibly unique view of Dungeons and Dragons. I believe that Dungeons and Dragons is not a game. I believe Gary Gygax actually hid a human improvement engine in Dungeons and Dragons, and that the entire purpose of it is to the people at the table, the Dungeon Masters and the Dragon Masters, are intended to grow, improve, and transform through Dungeons and Dragons. That Dungeons and Dragons was built as a secular tool to explore truths, to discover truths, to reveal truths, and to fundamentally change as a person. And I think, and so why did he hide it, right? Well, there's a lot of moms who, they won't feed their kid cauliflower because they won't eat cauliflower, right? They chop it up and put it in a burger, right? Or they'll put a pill in chocolate, right? Like they'll put the medicine in chocolate, right? And I feel I think Gary knew, right, that couch scribblers were not going to get it done, and that self-help books, people are too embarrassed to buy them. He knew that we need help as human, and he also knew that he also knew that like the couch scribbler discipline is outrageously expensive. So he built this thing that is literally free to help anyone, right? And and even if you do the expensive part, you can spend $150 and get help for yourself for decades, right? It's pretty astounding, right? So I have this incredibly rare belief, right? Well, what I'm saying is that Dungeons and Dragons can help you intellectually, emotionally, and spiritually. Intellectually, I don't even need to sell anybody on that. Everybody's like, oh yeah, are you kidding me? It's 1,150 pages of reading is the opening ante to be a dungeon master. And and 380 pages is the opening ante to be a player, right? That's a lot of reading. And it's a lot of math, right? Like nobody contests that Dungeons and Dragons will help someone intellectually. Emotionally, I used to be the only person saying that. B. Dave Walters, he's literally a world-class podium dungeon master. He's official D&D dungeon master. One of the most official D&D. I think B. Dave Walters is the most official dungeon master, like Hasbro dungeon master in the world. He says flat out that he is evoking powerful emotions at the table. If someone is feeling something real, that's a success, right? He has completely redefined the goals of Dungeons and Dragons. That's not about fun. That's about evoking strong emotion, getting someone, not everyone, someone, just one person at the table to feel something, right? So I'm not the only one saying emotional growth can happen from Dungeons and Dragons anymore. B. Dave Walters is talking about that openly, right? He's top dungeon master. He's one of the top 3 dungeon masters in the world. He's literally a podium dungeon master, right? But now spiritual. Whoa. Slow your roll there, Scott. Spiritual spiritual growth for Dungeons and Dragons. How would that possibly happen? I think Knigobi just opened the can and showed it to everybody. Let's get into it. All right. So she talked about a player character death. This dragonborn Ladron, right, who sacrificed himself in one of her sessions, right? And the player decided to sacrifice his player characters, and there's this island and it's falling and people are dying, and so Ladron stays on the island and is getting people off to safety, right? Making all these great rolls to get people to safety. Well, in order to do this, right, in order to get off of the island or to save more people, he wants to talk to his god. Now, I love how Knigobi handles this, right? She said, in her world, the gods are extremely real, right? Now, Ladron is this very kind, tolerant player character, right? And literally, the gods like him. So Ladron has this strong relationship with one of the gods in her world, right? And he can, and this god literally loves him, right? Like our God loved David, right? Like my God loved David, right? Love that guy. And so Ladron is having, and all Ladron needed was a 5, right? So in Knigobi's world, you have to make a religion check to call your God, right? Now, he's been nat 20 all night, right? Now, the reason why is he's probably getting a lot of inspiration, and, it's much easier to nat 20 when you have a lot of inspiration, and he's he's playing his character well, so he's probably getting a lot of advantage, right? So he's, rolling a lot of nat 20s. Well, the crucial moment comes up, and so Ladron needs to be able to just call in his god, and then, hey, pop me off this island or save under 100 more people. And there's going to be this moment where Ladron is going to talk to his god. So he needs to make this religion check. Well, he's done this so often, and he has played his character so well, and he's such a kind and tolerant individual, and the gods of this world love him so much. All he needs is a 5, right? Well, he nat once, right? And in this moment where he is serving his god the most, right, his god disconnects from him and will not speak to him. What is that? I'm an evangelical Christian. I've been, my parents were taking me to a Baptist church when I was 3 years old, right? And I've grown up in the church. I'm an evangelical Christian. I was saved when I was 15 years old. I love the Lord, right? And because I've read the Bible like 11 times, right? Depending on how if I've read it with my eyeballs, listened to it, I've gone through the Bible many, many times, right? And I can tell you what this is. This is Gethsemane, right? So Jesus, he is literally like the Son of God, right? And at Gethsemane, he's like, why have you forsaken me? And he cries out. He's like, why have you forsaken me? Right? Like, and people will say, this is my Gethsemane, right? This is where I am just like, I'm literally sweating blood, right? Like, I'm disconnected from my God. I can't feel him. I can't reach him, right? And honestly, I understand Gethsemane. I've heard many, I've read it myself. I've heard many preachers speak on it. I've been in low places and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is just like Jesus' Gethsemane, right? But like, how could somebody who's never been to church, never read the Bible 11 times, understand Gethsemane? Well, the player who played Ladron, that's a Gethsemane, right? It's a disconnection from their God at exactly the moment when they need their God most, right? That is what could trigger real spiritual growth. Thinking, God is not always going to be at your best beck and call, right? And why? Why would your God not talk to you when you need him the most, right? Well, there's a good reason. God is always capable. He is all powerful, but you don't know his will, right? I know my God can fix any problem I have. I don't know if he will, because I don't know if that is his will, right? And these are deep theological questions, right? And Knigobi's player was right there. Not only did Knigobi's player experience it, Knigobi experienced it, and every player at her table experienced this. They saw a perfect picture of Gethsemane, right? That is powerful. That is powerful spiritual, like a lattice, right? To climb, right? To climb to a better spiritual understanding, an understanding that gods can do anything. They are unlimited in power, but they're Will is not unlimited. They have extremely limited will. What they are willing to do is not unlimited, right? It is actually a narrow path, right? And that there was a reason why Ladron's God would not speak to him then. And he may never understand that reason, right? And I understand this from reading the Bible and from living through my own personal Gethsemanes and from hearing it preached from excellent pastors, right? But I feel like Knigobi, that player, and every player at that table understood Gethsemane without ever hearing the word Gethsemane. That is a powerful spiritual lesson. Knigobi is a genius. What's happening at her table is really unique and special. Knigobi is emerging as a powerful, powerful talent in the D&D community, and in the D&D commentator group. Get on her channel. She is one of the best out there. And I believe she just presented evidence that you can experience spiritual growth through the secular tool of Dungeons and Dragons. Every single word you just heard is my humble opinion. Nothing more, nothing less. The important part is when I get to hear your humble opinion. When you get in the comments and send your traffic. Please consider like, subscribing, and have a fetch millennium.